Please note, this session is being recorded.
Perfect time to start recording.
Right after I said that. No, but I mean, they're happy to take anybody's money. But the thing is, you're paying for the same services with a large CRO that the large big pharmas would be paying for. And you're probably going to get less attention because you don't have the name in the industry as a small pharma or biotech.
Right. So so you're thinking of starting to do a podcast?
Yeah.
And what have you thought of, like, what the topics will be, or you're just gonna like start interviewing people? The easiest thing to do is to interview people.
Well, I actually did reach out to my favorite doc that I started out with 20 years ago. And the oncology group that he was in got very disgruntled that he wanted to be involved in research because they were afraid that it would take away their patients from standard of care, and they would go into research, and then they weren't going to get the insurance or have the patient database. So he went out on his own, and he did an amazing job. Absolutely amazing. He did everything right. And I thought to myself, here was a young guy, started out bravely on his own and did an amazing job with an oncology clinic. Who better than to talk with about, those first years, and learning as he went. And now he's considered a KOL in some circles, especially for the phase 1, 2 all-comer protocols.
Yeah, see these KOL, and is he at an AMC still, or he's on his own?
No, he's got his own homegrown oncology clinic.
See, those are rare nowadays, and that is like the best kind of KOL to have. We know a guy named Dr. Hoffman, Anthony Hoffman, an oncologist. Do you know him?
I know the name.
He's in that boat too. We actually have two projects with him, one of which is active right now for our CRO. But yeah, he's one of those guys too. There's not too many of them left. The non-AMC affiliated key opinion leaders.
Well, you're right. There's not. And, I think I mentioned this before. When COVID came, we have a hospital here that's local. And I think that their managing group is Steward Medical. And in the middle of all this, they threatened that they're closing down. They, unless they got funding, they were going to close their doors. So I'm wondering about what's going to spin out of that, because they do have oncologists there.
Mm-hmm.
They do have other groups. And if Steward is dissolving their association with this hospital and closing it, those guys are pretty much homeless. So I'm going to start reaching out to them and saying, hey, let's build you a house somewhere. Stay in the neighborhood. We'll keep you. Become a researcher and keep your patients.
Yeah, that benefits everybody. The community, the doctor, you, any sponsors that work with them. They'd much rather work with a community-based clinics than a AMC with a local IRB and a bunch of red tape.
Oh yeah, the overhead in the AMCs is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
My husband just said he did a contract. It was almost 45%.
For the overhead? You see, Chris, we're not asking for enough. We're not asking for enough, Chris. Even after coronavirus, AMCs are asking 45% overhead now.
Really?
On their budgets. Yeah.
And right now, my husband is not doing what I call real research. He's doing what I refer to as rainbow and butterfly stuff. And it's not, some of it's approved product and, maybe off-label use, or to get another, statement put on the package insert about, having, something that's got wound healing properties also now has an antibacterial, kind of thing. And not so much just the product or the drug or the compound that they're using, but the device that they're using to apply it, the spray bottle or something. And I'm like, that's really not research, but okay. But yeah, those hospitals, and they're going to big wound centers, and they're charging 45% overhead. I'm like, OMG.
There you go, Chris. We gotta update our.
Yeah, but that's a little different though, Dan.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think these are preferred sites. No.
Some of them can end up yeah, but I mean, the same thing. A KOL equates to the same thing, a preferred site.
Sure. But in regards to what Dan is stating, I don't think you're comparing apples to apples.
No. You would be
some just random
your throat.
site isn't necessarily going to get 45% over.
Right, exactly. You're cutting your throat doing that. You're outbidding yourself right from the get-go.
I also agree with that.
We've only outbid ourselves once, though. Like, truly outbid ourselves, right, as a site.
So, and we're speaking in terms of sites, right, specifically. And not only that, but I think the more, and this is just my opinion, but I think the more difficult you are in negotiations, it kind of works against you in terms of future work with that sponsor, unless there's some other desirable benefit that you provide. And of course, doing the work well, but being a KOL or something of that nature as well is beneficial.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, and I think starting out or being, nouveau and all of this, that you keep your margins thin for a while, and then you build on your reputation to widen those margins.
Sherry, what do you think about all these this growing trend now of CRAs starting their own sites? Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's an okay thing depending on where they're at in their career. If somebody comes out and says, I've been doing this for 5 years, I'm done, I'm going to go start a site, get in line. You're not ready.
You're not ready. What makes you ready? Because Chris and I, what we've seen from, like, it's amazing. We talk to CRAs just about every week. I don't want to say every day. It's not quite that often, but every week some CRA wants to start a site. And we start getting into like basic aspects like central IRB, for example, right? Like everybody knows private sites will rarely have a local IRB. Like it's usually central.
Right.
And like experienced CRAs know this, but then it's like almost like they forget when they put themselves of a site owner. Then they start freaking out. What am I going to do about our IRB? And I'm like, there's nothing for you to do. It's a central IRB. So you don't even need to worry about that. Another thing is like regulatory. They think regulatory is like such a big deal when it's really not. So there's like, Chris, what are some other ones that you're like amazed? Like how like I don't understand. You've been a CRA this long and like you're asking this stuff.
It's every aspect, right? A lot of them have questions about the site selection visit, right? How am I supposed to answer these questions? What are they looking for? It's like, I don't know, you've been a CRA forever. You've done site selection visits. Do you not realize what they're looking for?
There you go. Exactly.
I mean, I and Dan and everybody, I just don't know. Like, for me, it was like at 5 years into this career, I felt confident, greatly confident about my abilities because I know what I had accomplished. But if somebody would have said 5 years into it, do you know everything? No. Even today, I look at myself and it's sort of like, I tell my children this, I've told junior CRAs when I've been training them, any day that you can't say you didn't learn something new, you failed because you should have learned something. There's always an opportunity. And I don't think there's the confidence to be able to handle everything that's involved with site ownership at 5 years.
I also think being like the longer you are as a CRA could work against you as far as being a site owner, because you're so used to structure, and then when you own a site like a startup, there is like zero structure. I mean, none. You have to just adapt almost every day based on something new, and usually it's not a good training ground. There's like a sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, along the way, I think what was helpful for me is like I had sites that were new to research, and part of the visit involved me mentoring them on what they needed, processes, and work instructions, and what they were doing, and how to make sure they were capturing those things, and teaching them what we were expecting them to have, actually helping them with it. I mean, literally, I got in a pair of jeans and went into a site and built patient files and said, this is how you do it, and don't let me see it different. But I mean, that was very extreme case, but so, that is part of our job, learning for ourselves what our next steps are going to be, but also teaching the sites that we're with that are naive or just learning or starting out, or maybe got bad direction from the get-go. And they need help too, but they could be really good sites. They just need a little hand holding.
Yeah. What do you think, Gazelle? I know I see Gazelle on. You're having issues getting on, but you're getting on. And Claire she just replied. And thank you for following up. So
Yeah.
they reply. Hopefully they can help you out. I think they will. Dr. Al's a good PI. We're trying to make him a key opinion leader at a community-based clinic.
All right.
Monica will be helping us actually. Monica, how's it going?
It's been great. Today's been crazy with the students,
Keep
with
fighting the
studies.
fight.
I've been filling out today 2 feasibility questionnaires too. And I actually have, I was going to ask you guys if you still have interest on having the financial advisor to participate in one of these meetings. I spoke to another financial advisor, and he was telling me about all the investments that you can do. So I think it could be very interesting, especially because he explains, everything involving this time and how can this affect.
It depends. I guess it depends what the group wants. I mean, I would say it would have been good to have them on earlier, but when everybody was trying to get their loans. But now I feel like everybody already got it. Like Chris got a call today that we're gonna be approved. So like I know we got our advance. So I don't know. What do you guys think? It's not up to me. It's up to you guys. You want a financial advisor on? Tell you how to manage your money, guys? Tell you how to get those loans.
I thought it was interesting just because right now a lot of people have interest on investing money in the market just because how the market is going on. So it could be interesting that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody wants to make extra money.
I don't have a problem with it. What do you guys think? Chris is the ultimate decider, I guess.
How's that? How did I also get put in charge?
I don't know. Somebody said our side is still waiting on the loan advance, but we might learn something we didn't know. Yeah, good idea. They're saying good idea, Monica. So, yeah, anytime, have him come on. You know the time, you know the place, you know the link. Sometimes we know the link.
I find this.
Okay, I will ask him then.
I find these loan programs very odd. So, with our Chase account, Dan, we received the advance, but then they denied our loan. Right? So I had to reapply to that. Wells Fargo, our breakthrough account, we didn't get an advance, but they approved our loan.
Why didn't we get an advance? That makes no sense.
I don't know. These things are very odd.
That's crazy.
We should apply for the advance again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And I asked her about that. She said that you don't want to reapply again because you'll be at the back of the line, and if they run out of funds, you won't get anything. So I said, okay, well, just go forward.
Well, maybe we do need this guy on, Monica, ASAP.
Now that it serves Dan's purpose.
Yeah, now that it's like something we forget, let's have this guy on immediately. Let's have him call in now. No, but that's good. If you guys want that, that's certainly good. I know now is like there's a lot of, first of all, there's a lot of financial happenings everywhere, but in our industry, there's people getting furloughed, whereas at the exact same time, somebody else is getting more work. There's a lot of transfer of, I guess, income for CRAs, CRCs. We had Paul on yesterday. She got furloughed, I think. So it's something that's happening, but then other sites are hiring and other CROs are hiring. So there's a lot of shifting of money. There's a lot of loans. There's a lot of, like, all these biotechs and big CROs that are publicly traded are relying on the stock market. Luckily for all of us, the stock market has been very good these last few weeks. So kudos to anyone who bought when this stuff first started, because no matter what you bought then, you would have done well. You could have just had a blindfold on and picked some stocks.
Yeah, I just looked at Bitcoin today, and it's going crazy too.
Yes, I'm very happy with Bitcoin.
Well. I put enough money into what's the account? I always forget the name of the account where you trade.
Coinbase.
I put the money in there, and you have to wait 9 days for the money to be used. So I was gonna buy a coin like a week ago, and I'm still waiting to be able to buy a coin. And it's gone up like $2,000 since I wanted to buy a coin.
I think for a new account, because I don't have to do that. I just linked to my account and it lets me do it.
Yeah, I linked my account too, and it's saying you have to wait 9 days. This is ridiculous.
And what is this? Coinbase?
At Coinbase, yeah. This is where we buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. I believe in Ethereum too, but I think Bitcoin is where it's at. But invest at your own risk. This is not financial advice.
Yes, it very much goes up and down.
Yes, don't put anything that you're not willing to lose. But study it. There's a deep rabbit hole for Bitcoin, very big.
Yeah, I was gonna try to buy that, but it's on my stock portfolio, but I can't. I would have to go into how do they buy it? I can't think of the name of it.
You can buy it on there's an app called Robinhood as well. You can buy it on Robinhood.
Yeah, but see, if I wanted to buy it on like E-Trade, I had to apply for, and I didn't want to do it. Options trading.
Okay.
Yeah,
just try
try
Coinbase. Coinbase is like an app, and it's I guess they have a website too, but nobody really uses the website.
It's a very well regulated company, both by the SEC and within.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research.
Anybody else own Bitcoin?
I wanted to buy some oil.
Yeah, buy some oil. Put some barrels. I have room in my house for some barrels.
Yeah, you can get them for free right now.
Yeah, you could get. They'll pay you to take them.
Yeah, 50-gallon barrel. They'll pay you like $10 to take it.
It will fill up the garage.
I don't know if you're into more oil. Hasn't been refined, but okay.
What else is new, guys? Gazelle, how's life as a CRA? I see you guys. I see Fola. I see Jeslyn. I see Jeslyn A. I see Judy. There's a good amount of people. So we found that people were able to find the link, I guess. The lucky ones today. What's new with you guys?
Just doing remotes.
Remote. I'm finalizing a report for my remote visit. You know what I found? I actually reviewed more visits remotely than I would have a chance to do like on site. Like a lot more.
And what's your rationale behind that?
Probably because I don't have to catch a flight, and I don't really care what time I stop working. Like, like when you're on site and you got to catch a flight, or the site's kicking you out.
Right.
Well, either like you're running late to catch a flight, or the site says, "Hey, you got to leave at 5." You don't get as much done as you can until like if you work till 9 p.m.
So you just review everything they've uploaded. You just work until that time.
Yes. And I'm just obsessive as it is, like naturally obsessive, so I just want to get everything done. But it was a lot. Like, are you noticing the same thing, Gazelle? Like you're SDVing more visits remotely?
Yes. And it's taking me even longer to write these darn reports.
Yeah, have more information.
Yep. It's worse than an SAT report.
Yes, but like how many days are you actually remote?
I'm doing a minimum of 2 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, 2 days. I'm just doing like once every other week I have 2 sites, 1 study. Well, technically I have 2 studies and 3 sites, but the real work is only done on that 1 study with the 2 sites.
Well, that's not
monitoring. No, I'm doing like 1 monitoring visit every 2 or 3 weeks on average, but that's not including our CRO, the things I do with Chris. That I guess Jeslyn and Monica will help. But I'm not really monitoring that. I'm just reviewing reports. Somebody's knocking at the door, guys.
So
We're
last week
always
it
here.
was on site 5 days.
You were on site 5 days?
Well, I was doing a remote for 5 days.
Oh, you were doing a remote 5 days in a row.
1 second.
Yeah.
Wow. That's because I worked a lot on the day I was doing the remote visit. I mean, that was like all day long. Like, how do you manage? Do you set boundaries for yourself? Like, I'm done at 5, or do you just go until the work is done? How do you manage?
I tried doing that the first day. That went out the door.
What went out the door? Trying to end at 5?
Yeah.
Why? You just couldn't get it done, or what? What was
No,
going
I
on?
couldn't. I got the dogs at home. I got my husband at home.
A lot of distractions.
Yep.
So you think you prefer traditional monitoring or remote?
I wouldn't mind remote if my husband wasn't home.
I guess that's
Spoken
fair.
like a true married person.
Yeah,
Because
fair
I'm
enough.
used to working at home by myself and not getting distracted.
That's true. I guess maybe the amount of time I spent is due to distractions. I do notice when I'm at the site, I'm fully focused because I have a time, I have a deadline. Like I need to be out of here by 4 or 5. And when you're at home and the site link expires like at midnight, you're like, I can like, get distracted and do something and then come back to it. But at the end of the day, like I actually got more visits done this time than usual, which was good. So I don't know. I think it all like at the end of the day, I think it's better a little bit, but I think the sites need a better solution than scanning redacted documents. I really think doing this now from both sides, the site and the CRO, I really don't see why eSource is going to be used in every study going forward. Something like Creo, I don't understand why.
Unfortunately for us, we don't get to review actual source.
So what do you
Our
do?
sites and our CRO did not approve having eSource. So what we're doing is we're going over spreadsheets that have a lot of the information down, and we're making sure that everything is put in correctly in EDC. There's no discrepancy. We also have a soft lock coming up, so we're making sure that everything matches at this remote time right now.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, that's a big CRO. I'm amazed that that's their SOP.
Well, I think it's also because the sponsor themselves are a little strict, and it's the sponsor who didn't approve.
That's okay. So the okay, was this a big sponsor or a small sponsor? Or medium sized? Hello?
Hello.
Is it a big sponsor or like a little one or like a medium size?
It's a big one in that country.
Ah, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, sometimes the sponsors just block things that don't make sense, but they have their own way of doing things, I guess.
Yeah.
What did they block again?
What was that?
What did they block?
The redacted documents. They're not allowing them to scan and, I guess, monitor actual source. They're like monitoring derivatives of a source, like through some Excel sheet.
Yep.
Which is
And
not
comparing
Alcoa.
it to EDC.
That's not Alcoa. I mean, ALC original. That's not original. That's the O in Alcoa. I would let the sponsor know, hey, sign up all your staff for the CRA and CRC academies.
I've actually been talking to some people that I do monitoring with.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I do hand out your cards.
Thank you. Oh, you still have my cards? That's awesome.
Well, I also got them from Chris.
Yeah, see, for those that don't know, Gazelle lives like 5 minutes from one of our sites. When she's not CRAing, which is all the time, basically, she stops by. When things get back to normal and we have students again, you gotta come and get a lunch with us. We still have to do that.
See what car I bring in each day, right, Chris?
That's right.
Did you go to the car show?
No, unfortunately, we didn't make that. Definitely wanted to, though. You'll have to tell me when the next one is.
Okay. Oh, I gotta log off. I got a site calling me.
Okay.
Talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later. I'm sure Eric is trying to get on right now, too. See, all these people are trying to get on. Let me send him the link also. So, Monica, what's new?
I guess that's new.
CRC Academy going in full force.
Studies and
keep it going.
Yeah, CRC Academy is full force. A lot of students, a lot of people calling every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's been quite busy.
What do you think about our strategy What do you think about our strategy for global? That we're going to use the new PI and have him be the PI for global until we get other site up and running, maybe second half of this year. What do you think about this strategy? I think it could be very well for global. I think it could be a very good thing for our site.
Yeah, totally. Especially because we passed from having like one PI that didn't want to continue too much to have two PIs now. So actually more because we have somebody else that another doctor that has interest in doing rheumatology. So now we have three PIs.
Yeah.
And it's giving us the opportunity to do more studies. And I mean, now it's pretty much, you name it, that there are so many studies out there.
We have more PIs than we have clinics. We need to we need to wait for the lockdown and to open up another clinic.
I think it's great because it will be like a good like ground for for these two clinics to just go even bigger, you know.
Chris, you meet the NP today, Moonby? I saw on the calendar she's supposed to be there or something. Or is that tomorrow? Tomorrow, okay. keep her updated. Like, hey, what's going on? Like, we got to renegotiate that lease. I just told somebody else today who wants to start a site. I said, look, you're actually entering like at the perfect time. She's gonna actually lease her own space. And I said, look, right now these landlords are desperate. Like, negotiate. You know, it used to be you couldn't get a month-to-month lease. Now you probably can. Look up vacancy rates. I know medical is like probably the safest, but still, vacancies are vacancies.
Sure.
And you don't actually need a medical building to open a site. It could be a mixed commercial use. You know, one of our sites is like the one in Norwalk is like a industrial / office. So there's like an office, and then there's like a warehouse. There's a bunch of warehouses there. It doesn't have to be medical. So a lot of those landlords are desperate. Like if you're planning to start a site, like May 2020 is not a bad time to get in. There, there could be worse. You've got a bunch of studies, like a tidal wave of new studies, and then you've got landlords that are desperate. I mean, people are closing their businesses, right? So this is not a bad time to negotiate a good, favorable lease for yourselves, or renegotiate if you're in a lease already. Like, let's say you're in a month-to-month lease, renegotiate it. Or even if you're not, try.
Yeah, and this thing they created size and wanting to have some employees working from home. So the buildings are going to be, I mean, in trouble if this happens more.
Yeah,
that's right.
Speaking of my business partner, his son has a business that he started. There's franchises on it, and he started out and he went to a bagel company. The name of his company is called Fat Shack, and I think it's like central and western area of the country. But he started out and he went and he said, you're not using the building on these days or after these hours. Can I come in and use your building? I'll give you 10% of the proceeds to use your facility to do my sandwich gig. He just got $250,000 from the Shark Tank.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, and that's how he started out.
No kidding. We had a similar story. A guy, hello Eric. Speaking of starting sites, this man is starting sites left and right. Eric,
hey,
how's the Instagram hustle going? The how-to research.
Well. It's going well. Got up to 222 followers now.
Lucky numbers, man. Hit the
224
casino.
on there, and then like I think it's 222 on YouTube. So it's going up there.
It's scary when it gets to 666. You want like that next follower so bad.
Exactly.
So how are you engaging these doctors? How are they
engaging doctors for clinical research?
Yeah, I mean, like, are they wigging out on you, or how are you bringing them in?
Well, I mean, like right now, obviously the research sites are mostly inactive. But generally, when you're approaching doctors, you want to find doctors that are generally interested. You don't want to just approach people that have no idea what clinical research is or have zero interest in it. It's good to know some people that would like to be in it, but maybe don't know exactly how to start. That have good capital, that have a strong private practice with a large patient database, particularly that's going to be situationed in a certain area of patients that makes them a little bit unique and competitive to nearby medical practices. So that's typically what I look for in a physician. And if they have capital, then that's good because it helps if they, if you want to bring them into the company, then they can help invest, help start up maybe a different location, and even go into different indications as time goes on.
All right. I mean, because that's pretty much what we've been, doing. But and they wig out at a certain point. I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
I just mean they're interested, and then they're not engaged. It's like, oh, I don't know. I'm I'll have to think about it.
Which indications are these in primarily, or have you noticed like a trend with certain types of doctors?
I think the dermatologists, we have a better foot in the door with them.
I agree with that. So typically, like if you want doctors that are just going to be like go-getters, the dermatologists are always, I think, key. Pulmonologists as well, and even HIV specialists or infectious disease specialists. Those doctors are usually pretty active, and they want to help their patients. They want to have the best treatments available. And so those ones I've shown to have the most luck with those types of physicians, and cardiologists as well. But typically, if you find someone who has a private practice, they're generally going to be a go-getter, and they're generally going to want to do more business because that's just in their nature. But of course, not everyone is like that. The dermatologists, they typically are very active. I mean, they always want to make some extra cash. They always want to bring in some more business. So those I've seen to have like the best luck with.
Yeah, I think that they have a larger pool of indications to work with, because you can go from acne to skin infections and
they do lasers, they do creams, they do injections. So I mean, the types of sponsors you could work with are pretty diverse.
Yeah.
So dermatology, I'd have to say, is my favorite. That's my favorite indication, just because of the diversity. And with any business investment, you always want to diversify, right? So even with the doctors that you work with, if you're able to find someone that can do multiple things, that's a good investment in itself.
Well, I had a nice conversation today with the owner of something called AFC Urgent Care Centers. And he's got like 4 or 5 centers, and he's got family practice. They have sports medicine, they run the gamut, and he's franchising these places to some degree. So I was like, this might be interesting. So he's got, he's hired doctors. So his overhead is he's got a salary on his doctors. He's paying them. So I mean, anything he gets from research is icing on the cake.
I mean, if they're backing out, I mean, do you think it's a financial thing? Do you think it's a I don't know, are they just getting uneasy because they don't know, I guess, the industry as well?
Well, this one, the dermatologists know, but like family practice kind of, because they're really good for like vaccines and like the pediatric stuff you might want to, get with. But the dermatologists, yes, I think that they're engaged, and it's just they're slow starters. They're very slow.
I also found though with dermatology trials, they don't always pay the most, but you can get more volume with them. So there's pros and cons with every indication. But with dermatology, it's also location. Like if you are in an area where maybe there's a lot of cosmetic surgeries that occur, then getting like a dermatologist that might do some of those things would be better. And then even finding like a plastic surgeon, for the devices would be good too. But it just depends on the locations that you're in also.
Yeah. I mean, we run the gamut to in this area, to very wealthy, robust incomes, to the homeless. And
so for the wealthy, obviously stipends aren't going to entice them. So for the wealthy, they usually are looking for something that's either going to make a difference, or they're looking for something that can truly help them with maybe a serious condition that they have. That's what's going to motivate them.
Right. And I'm like looking at like the more impoverished areas is like, that's a really good place for like family practices for like flu vaccines, pediatric care, maybe pain management, or addictions.
Right. Now the issue too is with like the lower income, like you mentioned, like the homeless and things like that. The follow up is always the hardest too. Keeping them compliant with the study, being able to reach them. It comes with its own territory of difficulties. I think too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we have the other one I reached out to and spoke with for a little bit today was a nonprofit family care practice in the area. okay, those people, that go there, they need health care. They can't afford health care at a private, they don't have insurances. So, our conversation was, you have the advantage to provide them with novel health care and good health care that will benefit the community as a whole. So she liked that approach, and I said, all right, we'll continue to talk. So it's just a matter of getting in and speaking with them face to face when COVID curtain comes up.
Yeah. And I think that's the key part that you touched on right there, is being able to entice them with what they're going to respond to, right? Because there's so many different aspects of this industry that could make people interested in it. If you're talking to a nonprofit, then supplying advanced care for their patients, providing extra income for their foundation, things like that would probably motivate them, versus like a dermatologist might just be looking at just the cash incentives.
Yeah, definitely the dermatologists are.
And another really good thing to point out too, depending on who you're talking to, what's important to them, is the recognition that comes with it. So doctors are recognized by sponsors, if they do well, and they're highly regarded by sponsors, and sponsors always want to come back to them to continue to do business with them, and it really helps spread their name in the local community as well. So some doctors are really into that too, or even not just the doctor, but like you mentioned, a nonprofit organization is really into that as well. They really want good PR. So bringing studies to them that is going to enhance their PR is going to be probably a huge selling point to them.
Right. And the other aspect that we've kind of like walked around is, I said, if you're offering something in an indication that your patient can't get from you, but the doctor down the street is offering it for their disease process, and they've tried everything else of standard of care, their next option is a clinical research option.
Right.
And I said, you very well, because patients aren't going to go to two doctors if they can go to one doctor and get everything. So it helps you retain your patient database, because you can offer them something the same as the guy down the street.
Right.
And we lose a lot of patients in oncology. And I said that earlier, my doc that I've worked with, his group did not like him doing research because they were afraid they were going to lose their standard of care patients to research.
That they were going to, I guess, like a research center would take the standard of care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Research, it doesn't replace standard of care, so I think letting the doctors know that too, it's, you're not necessarily, the focus of this trial isn't to treat the patient, that's a potential byproduct, the focus is to get that drug approved or the device approved, to be sold and distributed on the open market. So that I could see how that could be a concern of doctors, but I think just really highlighting that fact that it's not competing with primary care, because it's not treating, that's not the purpose of it. It's to work in conjunction with those practices.
Oh, I agree. But working in oncology, it is the case and it isn't the case at the same time, because oncology patients, once they've taken advantage of all the standard care options, they have no other choice, and it's for quality of life, it's for prolongation. So if you can't give them anything more than the standard of care, and it's not really a good option, they're out of there they're begging.
Yeah. I could see that. But, regardless, in a situation like that with a cancer patient, and whether the research site existed or not, that doctor would lose that patient regardless. That patient would either stop treatment or they would just go to another doctor just to try anything else. So either way, if a doctor can't, successfully treat their patients, they're going to lose that patient regardless.
Right. They are. One way or the other, but too, if they can be at their local physician's office and not have to travel to get a new therapy or try something new that might work, even in the short term, certainly they're going to want to do that. And if you can spare them the travel and the disruption in their lives as much as possible, that's what I would prefer happening in this industry. about that, about the distance to go and try a clinical study because they're not always in your neighborhood.
Yeah, that's true. But luckily the sponsors help with this, transportation issues as well. So
sometimes,
but
or not
yeah,
enough.
Yeah, I mean, I've had sponsors before agree to fly patients out, get drivers for them, whatever the case is. But I think it really depends on, the project manager and the director of the, of that research project at the time, and the importance of that study to them, to complete. So
right.
Yeah, that's always going to be on a case by case basis.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen them do some, good things, and I've seen them, be a little bit on the cheap side with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, especially right now, we're probably going to see a decrease in budgets, even because the sales for sponsors have been affected during this crisis.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they've fallen, I think, at least 30%, if not more, depending on the company. So
yeah,
we're probably gonna see smaller budgets for research, and at least for this year. So maybe for 2021, we'll get some larger budgets coming back.
Yeah. Well, I hate to jump, but I got to go talk to Australia. So, guys, have a good night.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Sherry. Claire replied.
Hi, thank you, Sherry.
We got it. We got the study connection.
Tell me how you like that, Monica. Did you like that spreadsheet I sent you? Did you look at the spreadsheet I sent you?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
that's a great material. And actually, Jesslyn also sent me the material for the EKG. So very nice. Thank you.
Good. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. So I guess that's it. We meet again tomorrow. Bring your questions. Bring your studies to share if you want. We've actually exchanged some studies through this group. Monica and Eric,
Yeah, I
know
have to.
you guys exchange studies. Rosario is supposed to email Eric once a week or so, right?
She sent me one. Yeah, she sent me one, I think, a week or two ago. So yeah, it's good. I love the whole networking aspect of it. That's what it's all about.
Eric, did I send you some?
I don't think I got any directly from you, but I'd be happy to share.
No, I actually don't think I even have your email. I have some studies. I can send it to you. What's your email? If you want, put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat right here. Let's see.
And I send you some studies.
Appreciate that. I'll send you some as well. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. It's been really busy, really busy.
There you go. Just sent it over.
This was my today to-do list.
There's Eric's email, Monica, in the chat.
Thank you.
And we will meet again, guys, tomorrow. I think this is going to be going on until,
we start back on the 15th, I think, right?
We do?
I think so. That's what the governor said.
Oh, okay.
Unless something changes.
I think I was gonna do this until the 8th or maybe the 15th. I gotta check. One of those dates, but yeah, I keep hearing that's getting pushed back in California.
Right.
George, how's it going, George? I see your camera icon here. George is chatting.
Thanks for the contact, Dan. Appreciate it.
Of course. And we'll meet again tomorrow, guys. Same link.
So I will ask the financial advisor and see when he has availability to join.
Get him on. That would be good for everybody.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Adios, guys.
Thank
Have a good day.
Bye. You too. Thanks. Bye.